This is the OP1 8K V2. This mouse has truly changed the way I view gaming mice. I never imagined how much snappier and one-to-one a mouse could feel. It truly feels like an extension of the human body. I'll explain why. The OP1 8K V2 is a revision of the original OP1 8K by Endgame Gear. It features 8K polling, comes in at 49.5 grams, features a Pixart 3950 sensor, KLGX switches, and a 5.9 foot braided cable. From what I read online, the second version of the OP1 adds a dust-proof mechanism to the scroll wheel, upgrades the sensor, and provides extra features in the utility software. More on that in a second. If you already own the first iteration, there is no need to upgrade. I would also pick up the V1 over the V2 if the price difference is greater than 33%. As from a value standpoint, the savings can go toward a bungee to keep the cable out of the way. When I first unboxed the mouse and saw the cable, it was a jarring feeling. Everyone knows wireless is better, right? Who would want to actively go against progress? The cable does feel nice and premium. There is very little drag on my mouse pad, though I will say that from day one, I have been using a bungee to keep the cable out of the way. During gameplay, it truly feels wireless. There is minimal difference in feeling between this and my secondary mouse, the Superlight 2 SE. There was a little getting used to the cable, as I have rocked a wireless gaming mouse forever, but this mouse's only downside is far outweighed by its gaming performance. The mouse feels instant and deliberate, confident, with no hesitation when registering your inputs. It truly makes my secondary mouse feel like there's input lag. Your mileage will vary, as everyone's perception to lag differ, but to me, I could instantly notice the difference. Now, I'm not sure how much of that plays into the fact that I'm always running the OP1 at 8K polling, whereas my Superlight 2 is solely used at 1K polling, but it's worth mentioning that it's not a fair comparison. In my opinion, losing the battery life from a month to a couple of days on a wireless mouse is just not worth it when enabling 8K polling. The battery gets worn faster and makes you need for an upgrade much sooner if you don't know how to replace the battery yourself, which I assume most of us don't. The biggest weakness of the OP1 is the cable, but it solves the downsides of running 8K polling. Pair this mouse along with a Wooting, and the only thing holding you back is a skill issue. I've never felt a texture like that of the OP1s. The texture feels smooth, creamy, kind of like a thick layer of yogurt that's been melted and then refrozen. It's a matte texture, and it's the best I've felt. Stains come off easily from this white color, though if you go with the black, I doubt you'll ever see any stains. Speaking of the feel in the hand, the mouse is small relative to my previous mice. The Superlight 2 feels like a large mouse with a hump on the back. The Viper V2 Pro removes this bump, but still supports the length of my hand. The OP1 splits the difference. In the hump between the V2 Pro, it feels narrower and shorter, but still feels extremely comfortable to hold. The buttons are nice and tactile, but aren't as clicky as the Superlight 2s. I would describe these as a bit more subtle, yet clicky. The side buttons are also very tactile and don't have a lot of travel. The Superlight 2 has atrociously mushy side buttons with an insane amount of travel that makes them feel laggy and makes you second guess whether you've pressed them. The OP1 is very well built, which leads us finally to the skates. The skates are good. I would rate the stock Superlight 2 skates a 3. the Viper V2 Pro skates a 6, the OP1s an 8, and the Super Glide aftermarket skates for the Superlight 2 a 9. A second set of skates that cover a larger surface area are included in the box, along with a screwdriver since the mouse is pretty modular and repairable. Endgame Gear sells different switches for the left and right buttons to accommodate a wide range of preferences. In addition to selling different switches, Endgame Gear also sells replaceable cords, skates, and grip tape. I'm impressed at how repairable the mouse is, and as the name states, it can truly be endgame with proper care and maintenance. According to Optimum Tech's testing methodology for the mice input lag, he measures the OP1 8K at 87 microseconds. My old V2 Pro at 1K polling registers clicks at 760 microseconds, and my secondary mouse, the G Pro X2 SE, measures at 443 microseconds at 1K polling. This difference would help explain why the OP1 feels instant and like an extension of my arm when compared to previous wireless mice. One caveat here that I would add: some game engines or games don't play nice with 8K polling. Marvel Rivals rolled out an update a couple of months ago that added support for mice with high polling. Prior to this update, turning the camera would cause my system to drop all my frames, but if I stood still, everything would go back to normal. So if you experience any weird stutterings or frame drops when turning the camera while running 8K polling, reduce the polling rate to 4K or 2K. This should fix that issue. It's not an issue with the mouse, but the way game engines register inputs. I had no issues with Apex Legends, Overwatch 2, or Counter-Strike 2. The mouse software unfortunately is a download, as opposed to online based. I would like to see all manufacturers of gaming peripherals transition to online based utility software. I'm looking at you, Razer Synapse. I had an issue during setup where I didn't pay attention to which software I was downloading and ended up with the utility for the V1 as opposed to the V2. Not sure why we need different software utility versions for different mice from the same company, but one unified online utility would simplify the process, especially when Windows gave me a Trojan horse warning, which was resolved by Endgame Gear. You'll find your usual mouse adjustments here, but the notable mention is the GX speed mode. When enabled, it reduces the amount of time it takes to register each click. I'm not the best at explaining this, but the GX speed mode registers your click before it makes contact with the actual actuation point in the pipeline. It does make a difference, but how significant is up for debate. The best way I can sum up the OP1 8K is, the mouse feels like what the Wooting was to the keyboard market. Now keep in mind that this was before the Super Strike was released by Logitech. I highly recommend the OP1 for any competitive gamers, or people who are concerned with long-term use of their mouse. Dropping $100 plus on a gaming mouse that will have a dead battery in 3 to 4 years is a hard proposition. But what if you could keep using your mouse as long as replacement parts were cheap, easy to come by, and easy to replace? That's the OP1 8K. I give it a 5 out of 5 rating.